Sunrise breaks across the ocean. The coffee's brewing and the day is new. I like to sit right here and watch the morning until the sky turns into a field of blue. What I need is a little downtime in the right place, in the right space. It's gonna take me at least a week to clear my mind. Yeah, I'm gonna need a little downtime. It's a perfect beach day, what don't you think? It's a perfect house day too. And just glad to be here. Yeah, it's warmer than Nashville. It don't really matter what we do. What we need is a little downtime in the right place, in the right space. It's gonna take us at least a week to clear our minds. Yeah, we really need a little downtime. A little downtime. Turn off that cell phone, baby. Haven't checked my email all day. Well, there's a lot of people out there trying to reach us. For now, I think I like it that way. What we need is a little downtime in the right place, in the right space. It's gonna take us at least a week to clear our minds. Yeah, we really need a little downtime.
Hey folks, it is I, Jason Hyatt, with RoundTable Ranch on the CTW TV network. And we are live. This show is not pre-recorded. I am here. I'm actually in front of you, in front of my TV live, or in front of your TV live. If you're streaming it through your phone to your big screen, because you can do that. If you have a Samsung TV or Amazon Fire, and you go through your Google and you click that little share to your TV button, it's really cool. And I'd be huge. Then again, I do have a face just for radio, so we shall continue. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about VA, Veterans Affairs Administration, because I am in a situation with them that I hope none of you guys are. Back in July, they sent me a letter saying, hey, we need to verify your dependents. I was on vacation in July, so I didn't get it till I got home in August. I filled it out. I put it in its prepaid envelope, threw it in the mailbox, put the little flaggy up, and away it went. And in September, they sent me another one. I filled it out, put it in a little prepaid envelope, threw it in the mailbox, put the little flaggy up, and away it went. But seeing as I got the letter twice, I went to the Macon Outreach Clinic talked to the VBOC, and updated everything online. Had her do it. Well, yesterday I got a letter in the mail telling me that I did not update my dependents and they've removed them all. And that for me to get it back within the next, I have 90 days to get it all back by submitting all this information that they already have to get them back on there. And I'm sitting there going, why did I jump through all these hoops if all I had to do was call you when it was due and give you all this information? Well, I did that today. And I called them. I gave them the Social Security numbers that they needed and answered all their questions and verified that my kids are my kids and my spouse is my spouse and my ex is my ex and all these things that they wanted to know. And I said, you're good to go. And then I got a phone call about 3 hours ago telling me that I'm not good to go, that now I have to do one more thing, is now they have to verify that I am who I am by sending them a copy of my ID identification and my birth certificate and my DD-214 and all this other stuff because I did it over the phone. The Veterans Administration has to be the biggest joke ever perpetrated upon veterans. The biggest waste of time, energy, and money, who seems their only goal in life is to get us to die faster. I'm sorry. At this point, I am just so tired of the VA. I've had neck surgeries and brain surgeries and elbow surgeries and kidney stone surgeries and foot surgeries and I'm still trying to get the VA to catch up with anything. It took them 7 years to say, oh, crap, you did have a surgery on your brain for a traumatic brain injury. I guess we'll award you that now. It took them 7 years. And they're the ones that made sure it happened. So I'm just tired of them. Tired of the VA. I wish it would get fixed. Some of the doctors are trying really hard, and some of the doctors are really not doing much. And it's just the administration inside the VA is more than just it's less than lackluster. It is straight up incompetence. And I don't mean to blast everybody on here with that statement, but it's one of those things where law enforcement and first responders really don't have to deal with this. We are guaranteed when we join the military, if we get messed up in the military, health care and benefits to take care of the things that we were screwed over on or we got messed up with while we were active duty. It's in a contract. It's a contract with veterans. Vietnam vets, and before Vietnam, they got screwed so badly that they fought really hard for my generation to get what we needed. And now people that have never served in the military are running the VA. So they don't quite seem to understand our plight and what we're going through and how to help us and what we need, while still trying to tell us, oh, we've got you covered. No, they don't. The VA has just gotten to the point where they don't care about us anymore. And I'm not saying all of them don't care. I'm just saying a lot of them don't care, because a lot of the people that work for the VA care too much. So much so that they're willing to lose their jobs at the VA to help veterans. It's their bosses that don't care anymore. It's their bosses that just think it's a paycheck. It's their bosses that say, oh, well, if that guy would just die faster, we wouldn't have to pay him anymore. And it's a really bad place to be thinking that the Veterans Affairs Administration or the U.S. government would rather you just die than take care of you. but it's out there, and it's one of those things that kind of kicks you right in the butt when you just walk into a VA hospital. You can tell who cares and you can tell who doesn't. And every single one of them should care because that is the job they have to do. And then they shouldn't work for the VA if they don't like veterans, if they don't like the U.S. military, or if they're America hating idiots. For them, it's just a paycheck. And for them, it's can we kill them faster? And that's just my interpretation of the things I'm saying and the things that I've experienced and my absolute disdain for a lot of the VA right now. Like I said, it shouldn't have taken 7 years for me fighting for my TBI rating after the VA is the one that ordered the MRI that found out my brain was swollen. I mean, it should be all there, but it wasn't. It was still hard to do. So I'm getting a hole drilled in my head. Greatest thing and worst thing that I ever did, all in the same time, because it hurts. It still hurts. We got a huge storm coming in, and I can generally tell you about 12 hours before a huge storm hits because that's when the pressure starts changing in the air, and my ears start ringing, and my head starts feeling heavy, and it's just funky. So we do have that coming in, and it kind of sucks. My eyes are a little tired. But we were putting up insulation all day today, me and my dad, in our shop because my female Dutch Shepherd is about to give birth to more puppies. Now, I mentioned this in previous shows, but now that we have a little more, people listening and a little more people paying attention to what we're doing, I'm going to put it out there again in just 1 second. So if you guys have any comments you need to make or questions, suggestions, anything, go ahead and type it in whatever social media platform you're watching this from. It could be Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, anything. Post a comment on any of those platforms. I will see it and I'll try to answer it for you. If I don't know the answer, I know plenty of people that probably do. But so my wife and I started this program last year. I have a service dog. His name is Yona Wahawa SG, which means Bear Scout in Cherokee. And he is 4 years old. And 2 years ago, I can't say 2 years, 3 years ago, we decided that she suggested it. Let me make this very, very clear. She suggested it. And I was like, man, that's a lot of work. But yeah, let's do this. We decided to buy a female Dutch Shepherd to go with my half German, half Dutch Shepherd, and breed specific dogs for service dogs for veterans. Now, I'm not saying that every dog that comes out in a litter is able to be a service dog, but more likely than not, they are capable of being a service dog. But last year we had a litter of 9. And we have Waya Wahawa SG, which is Wolf Scout, and Yona Wahawa SG, which is Bear Scout. And so we have, as my old MOS, we have our Scout puppies, Wahawa SG puppies. They are 1/4 German, 3/4 Dutch Shepherd. Dutch Shepherds are smaller, faster, and meaner and have a higher drive than German Shepherds. They are incredible dogs. And they have no known health issues. Like they don't get the hip dysplasia. They don't get all these issues. It's not common. Not saying it can't happen. It's not common. Why is 55 pounds when she's not pregnant? Right now she looks like a balloon and she's 90 pounds. But anyway, last year we had 9 puppies, and the main goal with all of these puppies is to give them away, donate them to other service members, other veterans, and now we're extending that to law enforcement and first responders that are in need of a companion or a service dog. I won't say an ESA because that's a whole different realm. A companion dog is like a family pet, but designated for one person and one person only, which could be considered an ESA according to your psychologist or whatever. I call them companion dogs. They don't have the same rights as a service dog. So, last year we did 9 puppies. Let's see, 2, 3, 4, 5. 7 of those dogs went to other veterans. One went to my daughter. We determined that she would not be able to be a good service dog for anybody. She had too high a drive and she's a bit crazy. Still a really good dog, just more like the female without any German Shepherd added. One went to my sister because she is alone more often and she needed a dog, but my sister paid us for that dog. My sister and her husband paid us for that dog. And he has just been allowed to become a personal or protection asset dog in Ashburn, Virginia, right outside of DC. So as his training goes on, we'll have some updates on that. But as far as we know, so far, he's doing well. All the other dogs, all the other 7 dogs went to other veterans. We have one of our puppies is in California, one of them is in Washington State. We have one in Ohio. Let's see. Haskina's California. Gypsy is Washington State. Emery/Wyona is in Ohio. Sabina's here in Warner Robins. Anaya's here in this area. Jocko's here in this area. And Cash is close by, but not in the same town. Last year, I hand-delivered every dog that I could, except for Eskina. I gave Eskina to the veteran's mom, who I know, and they came up and got the dog from his mom. He was getting too old, and my male wasn't liking it too much once Eskina had nuts. Let's just put it that way. So that situation had to be resolved. Now, every veteran, every law enforcement officer, every first responder is eligible to get a dog from us. We do ask that you know the entire history and you know what it takes and what the requirements are going to be for you to receive that dog from us. This year it's going to be harder for me to hand deliver all these dogs because of fuel prices. And I pay for everything out of my pocket. So that's why this year we're only giving away half the litter and we're selling half the litter. I would prefer selling the dogs that I have to other people that need them but can afford to actually pay for the dog, because we all know a trained dog is uber expensive, super expensive. So we try to relieve some of that burden by providing the dog. I do all the training, all the basic training, sit, stay, lay down, teach them how to approach their food, everything potty train before they leave my home. But the rest of the training is on the handler and a trainer they can get in their area. Because I don't know personally what that veteran's going to need. My dogs train each other. So when Yona starts getting too old, starts slowing down, I will have one of his puppies and he will actually help me train that other puppy. It's strange, but that's how it's going to work. And that's how Yona learned from my first dog, Liberty. And now Yona's going to pass that on to another dog, which he was starting to do to Askina, even though he didn't like him. It's the way they work, and they do really, really well. But if you are interested in this program, have any questions about this program, gunsvetsurvival@gmail.com, and we'll be able to talk about it. No dogs leave my house before they're 8 weeks old, period. My dogs don't even touch grass until they're 6 weeks old and have their first shots. it's the way we take. That's how we keep them healthy. No parvo, no worms, and we do the best we can with all of the things. I mean, we're working all day in fiberglass in a hot shop trying to get everything get everything insulated so the air conditioner can keep the place cool, and so the heaters can keep them warm at night if I need to run a heater. But that way they are in their own contained area. They're not in my garage like they were last year, which became incredibly difficult to maintain. So we are setting up their own spot this year. But it's a lot of work. A lot of work. My wife and I put in a lot of effort into these puppies. And we really enjoy the look on people's faces when they get a dog that didn't think they could get a dog or couldn't afford the dog. It warms a special point in my heart, and it's hard to do. I got all those walls up like everybody else does, but when I get the stories from the people that have the dogs and they send me a message and say, "Hey, this is what the dog's doing for us," I do cry. It does bring tears to my eyes, and I've known that these dogs are doing such a special job for people. So we haven't, like I said, April 17th is when they're due, but as big as she's getting and the way she's acting, I'm guessing they're going to pop a little early. Maybe not, but yeah, she has some big dogs. She has some big babies, and obviously we'll be posting everything as we go, and maybe she'll have them live on the air. That'd be kind of entertaining, right? Because I'm not going to miss the birth of any of those puppies, and I'm not going to miss this show. This is one show that I'm going to try never to miss, and if I do have to miss it, I will bring somebody else in to do it live, because this show is super important to me. I don't know if you guys can tell. I really enjoyed last week's show because I had a guest, and it was somebody for me to talk to on this show, and I learned some more about him, which helped out tremendously. You'll see him on here more often. Once he gets his new laptop, you may actually see his face and not just the shield of doom. So, but I really enjoyed having a guest, and that's what I made this show for, is to have up to 8 guests all talking to you, all talking to each other. Basically, you can call this group therapy without actually being group therapy. It's a round table, We talk to each other, and you guys get to understand where we're coming from. You can have your spouse on the show. Your spouse could call, your kids can call. I just ask that the veteran knows that you're calling before you call. Or somebody knows. The person you're going to be talking about, I hope, knows that you're going to be talking about them before you call in or message in to say, "Hey, I want to be a guest." But this show is for you guys, not for me, but I get a lot out of it. So I'm going to switch over to a quick intermission, and I'll be right back. I've got a little heartburn to deal with. So give me 1 minute. I forgot to turn my camera off, so y'all just got to see nothing. I apologize for that one, but hey, we all make mistakes in life. That's why we're all still here. But uh, but yeah, it's been a bit of trying couple days dealing with the VA and some other things, but the VA is the big issue right now because when they remove your dependents, you lose about $2,000 a month, and that's not good. So, it's going to get fixed. It's not a big deal, but at the same time, it's frustrating, and I don't like it. And I don't like being frustrated by things. So, well, there we are. There we are. So, like I said, any questions, comments, anything, y'all can put it in the chat box and whatever social media platform you are engaging us through. We'll try to get to them as quickly as possible. We'll even throw them up on the screen sometimes. We'll make you part of the show, and we'll go from there. I had something. Where is it? There it is. So we have our Facebook page. You can go to at RT Show 911 on Facebook at RT Show 911, and it takes you right to RoundTable Ranch, which is this show, specifically designed for veterans, law enforcement, and first responders. So I believe I'm going to be bringing Dan Meadows in shortly. He is sitting in the green room, and he just kind of did a smile, look up thingy. Uh-huh. All right. So without any further ado, I'm going to bring in Dan Meadows, and we're going to have some discussion about things. It could be the VA. It could be law enforcement. It could be all of it. Hello, Dan. You are muted.
Now I've unmuted. How are you?
I am great.
I listened to you earlier. Of course, before we rolled out, you gave me the story about what was going on. I think yesterday and earlier today as well. So hopefully you can sift through the swill of that. So let me ask you a few questions on the VA because you've dealt with it more than I have. I haven't really so much dealt with the VA since about 2004 when I was at Walter Reed getting a physical. So
lucky you.
and it was quite the experience nonetheless. but I've I myself have not had the difficulties that many people have had in respect to VA and treatments or anything along that line. That I guess I've been blessed not to have a whole lot, a whole hell of a lot wrong with me as well. So in the last 2 years, let me ask you some questions. So in the last 2 years, what has the protocols? How has that restricted you and or others within your circle? How has that restricted you and others because of this COVID pandemic? I can call it a number of names, but I'll just try to keep it clean.
Yes.
How's it restricted you?
I have not walked into a VA building other than seeing the VBOC since this started because of their protocols. I'm not afraid of COVID, but I use a service dog that uses facial twitches and facial cues to know whether I'm having a problem.
Yep.
And they require you to wear a mask. Well, if he can't read my face, he literally freaks out. He doesn't know what to do with himself. So pointless.
So what is the how much longer is this protocol in place that you have heard? I know mid-April, 11th, 15th, something like that.
I have no idea. The ladies I work with haven't told me anything about it. What the protocols at the Dublin VA are going to be. Probably can ask them. But once that changes, then I can go get my neck and my elbow evaluated for ratings.
Yeah.
So it's I don't like it. It's all become really stupid. So
So I know you've had a service dog for a number of years. In fact, I played. I had some copyright restrictions after I played Beyond Us on the Belgium TV thing, which
uh-huh.
I'll cut you a copy and send. But I have to restrict it only to hours, not to whatever else happened afterwards, not
Mm,
the gun stuff that's afterwards, or where they went to the big range after us, or to that
yeah.
lady's house and such as that. So it's a bit restrictive, but I will, excuse me, will cut you a copy. My apologies. I've got allergies. It's tearing me up. Um, but in respect to service dogs, service animals, how receptive and how have many of them interacted with you because of you? And I know you've had several over the years with the service dogs.
Well, I would say it was about 4 years ago. I got bit by something on my middle of my back, and I had a huge abscess,
Hmm.
infected abscess right on my spine. And I went to the Dublin VA emergency room where there was a doctor of non-American descent.
Yep.
So I couldn't identify what it was, but just so non-American
Yep.
descent. And he straight refused to come into the room to examine me because of my dog. He
Because
wasn't
he was
afraid of dogs.
afraid of it, or
No, he
because
wasn't
of the.
afraid of the dog. He thought dogs were dirty.
I see.
And he straight refused to come into the emergency room, which then I called the patient advocate from the room itself, and he was removed from the building. So I don't know what happened to him then. I got another doctor, got fixed up, and went home. Um, it was right after President Trump had said, "Hey, we can now fire these people." So tells you
Right.
about the time frame that was. Um, my regular doctor I had when I first moved back to Middle Georgia area, he loved Liberty, loved her to death.
Yep.
And you have those doctors, and then you have the other example of doctors that absolutely despise dogs, don't understand why you have them. But the VA is the one that started the program for veterans to have service dogs. They started it 8 years ago, and within 7 months, suspended the program.
Hmm.
They're still supposed to pay for your service dog's medication. They're still supposed to pay for their doctor's visits and give you a supplement for food, but they don't do it. So um, they know it works. They just rather drug us.
Understood. So you mentioned about a patient advocate earlier. If there are service members who are come across situations like that, other situations where they are not being, as they feel at that particular time, treated well by maybe some of the attending physicians, attending nurse staff, the what do you call it, physicians assistants or stuff like that. What
PAs.
is the best course of action to take regarding the patient advocacy service?
Most of the time, at most of the VA hospitals, there's a team of patient advocates that you can file your complaint with, and 99% of the time, they take that complaint and they throw it in the O file. They're not going to do anything for you.
Okay.
About 1% of the time, they're actually going to do something. It all depends on how big of a stink you raise.
Hmm.
I have been forcibly escorted out of VA hospitals. Um, I've had the code orange call on me twice because I refused to leave without getting seen by a doctor. Um, I don't know why. I'm not that scary, but obviously they think I am sometimes. So um, you raise a big stink, even though you might get thrown out of the hospital once, you'll finally get the problem fixed later. They will do an investigation because you raised a big stink. So sometimes it's required to cause a little commotion to get things rolling in your favor if you feel like you're being mistreated by the VA.
Do they allow in those particular cases at the VA? I think that it is restrictive on regarding any videos being taken, like from your phones and such as that. Is that correct?
It is restrictive, but since I never plan on causing a problem, I never videotape things.
Right.
But there's usually more than enough witnesses standing around because it's the VA. They never see a patient on time, so every patient ahead of you is still there.
Right.
So, and this is like I've been to the Charleston VA, I've been through the Dublin VA, I've been through the Hinesville Outreach Clinic, the one down in Brunswick, the one in Macon, the one in Warner Robins, all of these outreach clinics and the main hospitals, and it's always been the same. It, either you will find 25% of the staff actually cares. The other 75% are collecting a paycheck. And it shouldn't be that way. And they've never served. They don't have a clue what you're going through, and they don't care about it.
I've seen people in different branches of federal government, you know, they pick up a piece of paper in the morning and they walk around with it all day like there's somebody or that they are important. And they walk around with that one piece of paper all day, going from this department to this department, talking about this, shooting the crap about something else. And then, at the end of the day, they leave, drawing another, 8 hours, 10 hours, whatever it is they work.
Yeah.
And they do the same thing day in, day out. I've watched it because of being deployed as a federal contractor. I've watched it countless times.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
You're at a certain level to where they trust you to do your job, so they never check up on you. So all you have to do is look important, and poof, you get a paycheck. Um,
Yep.
It's bad. I mean, I can't say everybody at the VA is bad because I do know a couple people that have their jobs on the line, trying to help veterans when the VA is saying they're using their VA job as a way to make money outside of the VA when they're not. They're not collecting a paycheck from the other things they do. But they're still investigating them, saying, "Oh, you're in violation of your contract because you're helping these veterans." No, they're just providing a service that the VA doesn't to help veterans.
In what year did you start going to the VA? How long?
2013.
2013.
I went to the VA directly after my retirement.
Mm-hmm.
I went to the VA directly after having brain surgery, and I had to. I mean, I was still temporarily retired
Yeah.
for 9 months after my retirement date, and you had to go to the VA every 3 months for checkups and all this other stuff, and it was just a big hoopla. But even then, they wanted you to do the virtual therapist thing because I started going for my PTSD, and I don't like virtual based medical facilities.
Right.
We know that every other country in the world probably can listen in to anything our government's doing.
Certainly.
Why do I want them to listen to my stories when I talk to the VA? Yes, I put them out there now. I mean, it's just about everybody knows what I've been through now, but
right.
There's certain things out there that I don't want other people knowing because it's still personal to me. So
absolutely.
Yeah, it's very strange, and they don't want you to go into an office to talk about these things. They'd rather do it over the computer. So
since 2013 and all the experiences that you've had with the VA, approximately, not right on the money, but approximately, how many times have you had to go for outpatient care, direct care, staying over, treatment such as that, staying in the VA hospital locations and such. Approximately how many times have you had to interact with the VA in person?
At least 100 times
Okay.
since 2013.
So,
Um,
in go ahead. I'm sorry.
and it's because I refuse to do certain things online. I don't like I said, I don't like telemedicine at all. And
Yeah.
with COVID, everybody wants to do telemedicine. But if I have a problem, I would like to go to the hospital and talk to my doctor, not talk to somebody that's under my doctor, not talk to somebody that works with my doctor, who's sleeping with my doctor. I don't care. I want to go talk to my doctor, who should have my medical file in front of him so he can see everything that's going on.
Right.
Whereas it's gotten, like, for my TBI, I go to Fort Gordon, the TBI clinic on Fort Gordon in Augusta, because the VA doesn't have a TBI specialty clinic anywhere in Georgia.
Right.
So TRICARE pays for that part. Since I'm retired, I still got TRICARE, but it took 6 years to even get into that clinic because the doctors at the VA didn't put the right stuff in the medical records. So it took a while. So
And since 2013, and over 100 plus times that you've, direct direct interaction with them, or interaction that you may have had beyond that scope, virtually. What has been, let's say, the good, the bad, and the ugly? Not so much the experience itself, but from their end, what's been the good, bad, and ugly of relating to or getting treatment or care from the VA?
well, the ugly. We're going to start with the ugly. We're going to go backwards. The
Oh,
ugly is physicians' assistants that do not read your medical records before prescribing medication.
gotcha.
I had mine at the Macon VOC, or Macon Outreach Clinic, decide to put me on a medication. It says right in my medical records, do not prescribe, causes psychotic break. And he took me off all my other medication and put me on this one.
Did you know that at that time that they prescribed it,
I did
or
not.
or
It,
later?
I told him, hey, I was on it before. They took me off it for some reason. I can't remember what it is. I
Okay.
have, with my mental, or memory loss problems, I couldn't remember exactly why I was off that one.
But it was in the files.
It was in the file.
Got it.
So about a month later of being on it, Michelle was ready to throw me out of the house. I was screaming at everybody, and I didn't know it, and I didn't know why it was happening.
Got it.
So we took me off that medication, and things went back to normal. So that is the ugly. They do not look at your files when you talk to them.
Scary thought.
So I won't go with it by myself. Michelle goes with me now because of that. She knows everything that's supposed to be go on, and I don't remember half of it.
Understood.
The bad. The bad is everything you say to a VA doctor, they can use in a disability update later on.
Okay.
So if you are feeling better about one thing that you're rated for, and you tell your doctor, hey, in the last few months, that hasn't been much of a problem, they can use that when they're reviewing your medical disabilities later on.
Right.
He said he was doing better. We don't have to rate him for that anymore. The good. I have found the social work, 90% of the social workers, not the psychologists and the psychiatrists that work for the VA, actually care. Their bosses don't, and those are the psychologists and psychiatrists that receive a paycheck, but the social workers that don't get paid a ton of money actually care. Most of them are veterans, and they really, really, really want to help. That is the good part of the VA.
And how about the volunteers? Not the ones that don't get paid a hell of a lot of money, but how about the volunteers at those locations?
Most of the volunteers are awesome. Um, at the VA, or like the Dublin VA, they've had a rash of people saying stuff about people with service dogs coming in, and it's always the volunteers that go to their aid.
Hmm.
So they're always super friendly, they're always super nice, and they're always doing the right thing. I
Right.
can't say anything bad about a single volunteer at the VA here. Um, and that's it. I mean, I don't interact with them much, but as far as I do, they're always there. I can always ask them a question and get where I'm going. So,
In all of your experiences, it's the investigator coming out of me.
oh
Um,
Lord.
in all of your experiences, or the interviewer, if you will, what do you think the VA can do at all the locations that you've been to, collectively across the board? What do you think they could do that would make it better service for the military service members when they come in? What could they do to make y'all's experience, our experience, however you want to look at it, more conducive to being productive about helping you, being more forthcoming, more understanding, and such as that? What do you think would be across the board, something that you could share with others to say, look, if you did this, it'd be so much better of an experience?
I think, well, it's more than just a simple answer on that one, though.
I'm not
All right.
waiting for simples.
So the VA gives their head honchos a bonus for coming in under budget.
Well, yep.
So if they got rid of that program where people didn't look at the budget and
Hmm.
how much money they're spending on veterans and trying to line their pockets with it, that would probably be a huge benefit. Then allow or actually pay attention to what veterans are saying about the service they're getting.
Hmm.
So who cares about the budget? I mean, yeah, there's a budget for the VA, but if the hospital comes in under budget, there's a problem. It means they're not helping people that need the help.
Okay.
So they need to get rid of that stupid little thing they got going on there. And then if they actually took the comment cards or the online surveys we take with a grain of salt and looked into our problems that we're having with our hospital and solved them. We're not asking them to do much. Go in there and talk to the one doctor that's got all the complaints and say, hey, what's your problem? Or, hey, you're fired. That's all we ask. Fix the problems that we have. We don't need $20 billion medical facilities like the one they built in Orlando and wasted all the money they could have used on helping veterans. We just need a clean hospital with competent doctors and us not to feel like their only job is to make us die faster.
Right.
So, and then of course, train your administration not to lose your paperwork so they cancel all your dependents.
I've seen some over the years that that to warrant anyone having a job or a role or a responsibility, your paper goes from this stack to this desk to someone else's desk, back to this desk, because they need that three signature rule. Then it goes over to this department and they do the same thing. And by the time anything gets done, I mean, it's years later. I mean, I got a thing that I overpaid the IRS back in 2019. Very surprisingly, I received a check the other day from 2019. Oh, with interest, mind you.
Wow.
But it sat on somebody's desk for such a long time. They sent another X amount of dollars to me, which was damn surprising.
Yeah.
So, but it goes on the desk to desk to desk to desk, and then sometimes it gets taken care of. We've looked at that at cross border type stuff for here in Canada, and I've lived in both places, worked in both places, so it's never ceasing to amaze me on that.
Well,
So,
there's something I just learned talking to the lady yesterday and today on the phone with a VA. So whatever updates I make on the medical side, So, like, if I update all my dependents on the medical side and I request, a rating on an injury on the medical side, it will never make it over to the admin side. They don't talk to each other. Their computer systems do not talk to each other. Admin will never call medical to say, hey, did this guy update this over here? So you have to update it on both sides.
Both
It's up
sides.
to you to do it. And they don't tell you this. They say, oh, you can go online and update it. But they're not telling you, hey, you got to update it on the e-benefits website and then the medical website. You have to update it at both places, and they don't talk to each other. You should be able to just go online, either side, update it, what you need to update, and it updates it everywhere they have that information. That would probably, but of course, that would cancel out some people's jobs and make them actually help us.
Well,
I'm a little jaded with the VA, a little.
Understood, and understandably so. Understandably so.
It's like the rating system. It is so messed up that if simple math doesn't equal up, it should not be legal. So, like,
Right.
my TBI is 70%.
Mm-hmm.
My PTSD is 50%. That should be 120%.
Yeah.
But then you got my foot at 30% and tinnitus at 10%, hearing loss at 10%, and a few other little things at 10%. All told, added up, it's over 200%. But my rating's 90% because of the math they do. They take your highest rating, they cut it in half, so 45%, your second highest rating, and do some other weird math and make it less than that, but all that equals a 90%. And it's like, that doesn't make sense. Simple math should make sense. But I understand you can't go higher than 100%, but if you got a 70 and a 50, you should be at least at 100.
Yeah.
But in their eyes, it equals 90. I don't get it. It doesn't make sense to me.
My goodness.
So
that would be something that needs to be changed as well.
Yeah, I mean, there's some major things that need to be changed, and that's why a lot of us feel like their only job is to make us die faster. If we irritate them enough, they'll quit asking. If we piss them off enough, they won't walk into the hospital.
Understood. So let's change channels for a moment. So you've got 3 shows. I'm going to interview you about your 3 shows.
Oh, Lord.
So where were you on the night of? No.
I won't remember.
I got no damn idea. So on Monday nights, 8:00, you have a show called The Shooter's Rest TV.
Yes.
How did that originate? Where did that come from?
That actually started December 2012 when I retired from the Army. I had to do something. And I was talking to my buddy Don, and we're like, yeah, let's do this show. I mean, it could be fun. And I wasn't finding a whole lot of radio shows, online radio shows about firearms that made sense. Eventually found yours. I mean, but there wasn't a lot of them. Now there's a ton of them, but back then there was not a lot. And we started doing the radio show, and it was a lot of fun. We had a lot of listeners. We had a lot of good times. We had some weird things that happened, but that always does.
Yep.
And then we got in trouble with Blog Talk and got canceled for a bit. And then we started back up on Spreaker. And that went okay, but there's some issues with virtual cables and some other stuff. And then you started yours. So I was like, hey, let's bring this back online.
Excellent. And so those were radio shows before, right?
Yes.
So one question I've never asked.
Oh, Lord.
How did you and Don meet?
We met. It was a Facebook page. I think it was through Court Farrow and his cowboy action shooting.
Yeah.
And his instructor's page is when he and I started talking, and then obviously became friends on Facebook, and then started doing the show. And then when I was working at the gun shop in Jessup, he came up with his apprentice and bought some guns, and then we went out to the GTAC gun thing with Gary and Jack and all them.
Yep.
And when my divorce started, the first place I went was his house.
Of course.
Like my dad's birthday, I didn't even show up for my dad's birthday. My ex said, "Hey, I want a divorce." I said, "Fine." Got in the car and drove to Don's house.
Wow.
So I spent a week down there.
Interesting story, even though it opens up maybe a little bit. But yeah, I wondered how y'all met. So you had the Shooters Rest radio show.
Mm-hmm.
When you came over here, it went to the Shooters Rest TV show.
Which I
So it's
still
a
have a hard time spitting out.
podcast. And then now on Tuesday nights you do another show called Backyard Prepaversity. How'd you come up with that kind of name?
That it kind of started with looking at, well, I want to teach, but I want to learn at the same time, and that's what you do at a university. I mean, professors don't know everything.
Oh yeah.
Contrary to popular belief, professors learn from students just as much as the students learn from professors. Unless they got a doctorate or, they're all knowing, they learn every day too. So that was kind of the concept. It's university, but we're prepping. So it's a prepaversity. And it all happens in my backyard. So why not?
Absolutely. And RoundTable Ranch, how did you come up with that?
This show, I want to say, is a spinoff of that one we did for the Belgian TV show. I had such a good time, and it was so informative for everybody that was there to just sit there and talk in an open platform that I really wanted to bring that back. Like, there was no judgments. There was no topics off limits. It was nobody had to raise their hand and say, "Oh, I'm going to speak." We were all having a big conversation about our experiences, and that's I kind of wanted, like I said, I wanted that here.
And that went over generations. I mean, we had one guy at World War II, and then number of them from Vietnam that was there, and then
Oh
the
yeah,
different Gulf Wars and events that took place, Cold War events and such. And so, I mean, it was a good gathering of people, and that reality TV show showed a lot about it. And it went on, and they're still doing their reality TV series and such. But we tried maintaining that range therapy group and a hunting therapy group, and I guess people were just too damn busy.
yeah,
Or too you know I will say too much introverted within themselves. They didn't want, you know that was a great sharing experience. It really was. But you have a lot of them, and you've experienced it. That I need to keep this intact inside. I just, something I just don't want to share with others.
yeah.
And so,
I mean,
go
I
ahead.
think for some of those guys, as much as we want them to, share again, what we didn't tell them is the first time you're talking about stuff, it hurts more. It
Yeah,
gets better over time, and
yeah,
I don't think that. I think that reality kicked a lot of them, and like I'd love to do it again, another one.
yeah.
And I think with our areas that we have, so like you're up in North Carolina, I'm down here in Georgia. There's a ton of veterans here in Georgia, in my area, being right outside an air base, but they're Air Force, and a lot of the Air Force don't want to talk.
What would be great is now that the COVID protocols have been withdrawn or removed or whatever, is to hook up with some of the let's say some of the gun shows and everything,
Mm-hmm.
and do remotes there, and then looking for veterans, put up signage, whatever, veterans or law enforcement, fire services, whoever, come over and talk with us, talk with us on the radio, and we shoot actual film footage of it, and then share that out, over a period of several episodes of Roundtable Ranch, or you know one of the
Oh
other
yeah.
programs as well.
Well, that was something I was looking at doing with the Shooter's Rest, is going to the shooting events. I never did think about going to all these other events and getting people's stories, as I was just at Shamrock Fest for the CVMA. I probably could have started that then.
Yeah.
So
So now you got to hook another trailer onto the back of your bike and put all your audio video stuff in there so you can go live.
well,
Or go,
luckily, I have my camper.
yeah.
Unfortunately, at Shamrock Fest, I had literally 0 bars of surface.
Well,
So
you could always film and then we could do the broadcast at a later date.
oh yeah,
That's what we have that rebroadcast feature for. Anyway, we're about to go over, but
yeah.
it's great talking to you.
You too. I appreciate everything, you coming on and interviewing me instead of me interviewing you.
That's all right. We'll do it some other time.
Kind of strange, but all right. So everybody knows Dan's got a show 8 o'clock. It's Off the Grid Homesteaders Homesteading.
OTG homesteading.
OTG Homesteading. I even wrote it down that way. I tried to say it out. I'm sorry. 2000, 8 o'clock Eastern time, right here, or actually on the CTW Media Group, CTW TV Network, and all the other CTWs out there. See,
Yep.
look at that.
I'm gonna pop out. Great,
All right.
great show. You're doing really good.
I appreciate it. So everybody tune in next week. We might have Josh back on next week. I don't know. It all depends on how he feels about the last time. But y'all have a wonderful night, and we'll see you guys next week.